Welcome to the second public open house for the US Highway 16 Corridor Study Rural Sub-Area Analysis. The mission of the South Dakota Department of Transportation is to efficiently provide a safe and effective public transportation system. Additional information on the DOT's mission and vision is provided on their website, dot.sd.gov. The purpose of today's public meeting open house is to provide a study update, present refined concepts and preliminary recommendations, and then gather input and comments. This feedback will aid the study team in final refinement of concepts and recommendations for the final report. Everything being presented at this public meeting open house is available on the study website, which includes the informational handout, display boards and roll plots, a recording of this presentation, and the opportunity to send comments to the study team. The study website is www.US16corridor.com. At the onset of the study, a study advisory team is organized to help guide the study and provide feedback at key milestones. The study advisory team is made up of representatives from the South Dakota Department of Transportation, Federal Highway Administration, Rapid City Area Metropolitan Planning Organization, Pennington County, and the City of Rapid City. The first part of the presentation is a brief introduction of the study area, study objectives, and schedule. The Rural Sub-Area Analysis study area includes US Highway 16 from just east of Rockerville to just west of Neck Yoke Road. The sub-area analysis does not include the Rockerville area or Neck Yoke Road intersection. The Rural Sub-Area Analysis is a sub-area of the overarching US Highway 16 Corridor Study that was completed in 2021. That study extended from the Keystone Wide to the Cathedral Drive Fairmont Boulevard intersection in Rapid City. This sub-area analysis builds upon the overarching Highway 16 Corridor Study to provide further refinement concepts and public outreach as the South Dakota Department of Transportation works towards implementing recommendations in a future project. Objectives of the Rural Sub-Area Analysis include updating the baseline conditions analysis, refining concepts carried forward from the 2021 US Highway 16 Corridor Study, incorporating stakeholder and public feedback throughout the process, and recommending improvements that will feed into a project the South Dakota Department of Transportation currently has planned through this sub-area within their 8-year developmental program. And those objectives correlate with tasks in the study schedule, which is quick. We are currently in the final phase of the study to present preliminary recommendations for your review and feedback. The study team will take public input into consideration, the final step where we will make final adjustments to concepts and recommendations, and then draft the final report. The second part of the presentation is presenting a draft project purpose and need, which is essentially answering the question, why is a planned project necessary? The draft purpose of the project is to address local and regional trips along the Highway 16 corridor, reduce traffic congestion from continued growth and urbanization, and improve safety by addressing movements at intersections. And this addresses the overarching needs of system connectivity and the importance of the Highway 16 corridor for local and regional trips, anticipated traffic growth throughout the corridor, and reducing angle conflicts and simplifying traffic movements. Safety needs were reviewed through reported crashes between the years of 2018 and 2022. The figure shown on this slide reflects the crash density of all reported sub-area crashes excluding vehicle-animal crashes. The density figure combines crash frequency and location to help identify areas for further investigation. Intersection crashes continue to follow similar trends as identified in the 2021 US Highway 16 Corridor Study, with rear-end crashes and angle crashes occurring at conflict points throughout the corridor. Angle crashes are a crash type of heightened concern as they often result in severe injuries due to the nature of the collision. As shown in the figure, angle crashes are prevalent and have occurred at most access points through this segment over the last 5 years. The propensity for angle crashes resulting in injury and serious injury is most apparent when looking at the last 10 years of reported crashes within the sub-area. Over this time, there have been 29 reported angle crashes between Gondola Road and the Crow Quarry access. 19 of those angle crashes, or approximately 66%, resulted in an injury. 6 of the 29 crashes, or approximately 21%, resulted in a serious injury or fatality. The traffic volume development process included collecting traffic counts at 13 intersections in July of 2023, and then forecasting 25 plus years of traffic growth using standard planning methods that incorporate future land use, historical corridor growth, and feedback from developers and government representatives. In general, the 2050 planned rising traffic forecasts reflect upwards of 65% growth on Highway 16 when compared to today's volumes. It should be noted that traffic volumes presented in this study reflect a typical summer tourist season condition with a mix of daily commute traffic and seasonal traffic. Current daily traffic volumes range from around 13,000 to 16,000 on Highway 16 within the sub-area. The 2050 planned horizon traffic forecasts reflect growth of upwards to 26,000 vehicles per day just west of Neck Yoke Road. The traffic operations analysis establishes the long-range intersection improvement needs, which arise through two contributing factors. One is a continued growth of general Highway 16 traffic passing through the study area, which we saw in the previous slide. It will become more and more difficult to find acceptable gaps to turn onto Highway 16 from a side street. The second contributing factor is the anticipated growth in side street traffic, which only exacerbates the delay and can lead to drivers taking more risks, which in turn leads to more crashes and highlights the correlation between operational and safety needs through the area. The third part of this presentation provides a brief overview of the revised conceptual layouts. Please see the open house portion of the public meeting or the study website to review these layouts in more detail and what changed from November's open house. Within the intersection concepts, there are three primary intersection types being considered. The first is a conventional intersection, similar to what is out there today, where all movements are provided at a single median opening and is stop controlled from the side street approaches. Conventional intersection concepts generally include adding turn lanes and/or median acceleration lanes. The second intersection type is a partial access, where certain movements are restricted within the intersection. This includes a three-quarter access where crossing and left turn movements from the side street are not provided, or a right in right out access where only right turns into and out of the access are accommodated. The third intersection type is a reduced conflict intersection, or RCI, which is also sometimes called J-turn or an R-cut. RCIs are an alternative intersection type that simplifies traffic movements to allow motorists to focus on one direction at a time and eliminates left turn and through movement angle conflicts for vehicles entering the intersection from the side street. As shown in the figure, all side street traffic turns right from the side street approach to enter the intersection. Side street traffic wanting to head through the intersection or turn left can turn directly into a median auxiliary lane and travel down to the U-turn location outside of the two higher speed through lanes on the highway. Traffic then makes a U-turn and travels back to the main intersection where they can either turn right or continue straight on the highway. Intersection movements are also simplified for traffic turning from the highway to the side street. Both the left and right turns into a side street or driveway access occur at the main intersection, but the left turns are channelized to eliminate conflict points within the median, and right turn lanes are offset to provide enhanced sight distance for right turning traffic at the side street stop signs. Conceptual layout scenarios are grouped in the following four areas: the Strato Rim Busted 5 Wilderness Canyon area, the HTR Black Hills Resort area, the Bear Country USA area, and the Rushmore Candy Company area. We would like to note that each concept has been revised since the last public meeting open house to incorporate public, stakeholder, and study advisory team feedback. The Strato Rim Busted 5 Wilderness Canyon area Scenario A reflects three RCIs constructed at those main intersections and on the existing Highway 16 alignment. Similar to the other concepts, these main intersection RCIs provide the framework for full access intersections that future area development will need to tie into. Scenario B reflects modifications to existing Strato Rim Drive, Busted 5 Court, and Wilderness Canyon Road intersections to add turn lanes and median acceleration lanes for side street left turns to head towards Rapid City. Scenario C is the first of three RCI concepts that shift the Highway 16 corridor to the south to provide room for a frontage road on the north side for driveway access. This first concept combines the Strato Rim Drive and Busted 5 lane intersections to a single RCI and centers it between those two roadways. An RCI is also provided at Wilderness Canyon Road. The Highway 16 alignment is shifted south to provide 250 feet separation between the frontage road and Highway 16 travel lanes. Scenario D is similar to Scenario C with two RCIs, but in this instance, the Highway 16 westbound lanes are converted to the frontage road through much of the area, and the Busted 5 Court RCI is shifted east to line up with the existing Busted 5 Court roadway alignment. Scenario E is similar to Scenario D in that it reuses part of the existing Highway 16 westbound lanes as a frontage road, but pushes the new Highway 16 corridor even tighter to the frontage road to minimize right-of-way impacts to properties on the south side of the corridor. Two U-turn options were developed for a westbound to eastbound U-turn for Strato Rim trailhead traffic wanting to head east from the trailhead parking lot. One option includes the existing Strato Road intersection, and the second is the closest feasible location west of the trailhead access. The HDR Black Hills Resort Area concept refinement resulted in 4 scenarios that exhibit a mix of RCIs, partial access, and closures. Scenario A is the most restrictive form from an access management standpoint, with only providing 3-quarter or right-in right-out access. Scenario B incorporates an RCI at the HDR Black Hills main driveway and a 3-quarter access at the House of Scandinavia access and Sitting Bull Road intersection. Scenario C provides an RCI at the HDR Black Hills main access, but shifts the U-turn west to the top of the hill to provide enhanced sight distance for U-turning traffic. A 3-quarter and right-in right-out access are provided at the House of Scandinavia and Sitting Bull Road intersections, respectively. Scenario D also provides an RCI at the HDR Black Hills main access, but shifts the main access driveway to the east to provide greater sight distance for U-turning traffic within the RCI. A 3-quarter access is provided at both the House of Scandinavia and Sitting Bull Road. The Bear Country USA area concept constructs an RCI at the Bear Country exit and a 3-quarter access at the Bear Country entrance. And finally, the Rushmore Candy Company area concept incorporates a right-in right-out access at the northern axis and an RCI at the southern axis. The southern axis is shifted slightly to the south to provide US16 access to all 3 parcels that come into a point in that area. The fourth section of this presentation focuses on preliminary recommendations for Highway 16 subarea corridor segments. Intersection type recommendations and supporting information will be presented first, followed by recommendations for the specific conceptual layouts. The study team is recommending that all subarea intersections designated as future full access intersections be modified to incorporate a reduced conflict intersection, and all other access points be modified to partial access intersections such as a 3-quarter access or right-in right-out access. Traffic patterns impacted by the turn restrictions at partial access locations will be accommodated at a downstream U-turn within one of the RCIs. The 2 exceptions include the Rockerville Volunteer Fire Department access and the Crow Quarry access. Both have unique circumstances where it is beneficial to maintain the medium brake that is currently out there today. These intersection recommendations best address the established transportation needs of safety, corridor and intersection operations, and Highway 16 connectivity through the subarea. Also prioritizes Highway 16 east-west through movement travel in accordance with the overarching 2021 corridor study. The following slides highlight data and analysis findings considered by the study team when developing these recommendations. An RCI is one of 28 proven safety countermeasures identified by the Federal Highway Administration for their effectiveness in reducing roadway fatalities and serious injuries. The primary benefit of RCIs is a reduction in intersection conflict points, particularly left turn and through movement angle conflicts that have a propensity for high severity crashes. A conventional intersection on a 4-lane expressway, similar to those on Highway 16, has upwards of 42 conflict points, with 24 of those being crossing or angle type conflicts. Depending on how an RCI is designed, the total conflict points can be reduced to 24 or even fewer. The most notable reduction is to angle conflict points, which are reduced from 24 in a conventional intersection to just 4 in an RCI. A second benefit is that conflict points within RCIs are spread out across a considerably larger intersection footprint, and motorists only need to consider one direction of travel at a time, which considerably simplifies the driving process. RCIs also provide the best traffic operations for travel through the Highway 16 corridor by prioritizing east-west free-flow travel and meeting driver expectancy and route continuity expectations for an expressway facility. RCIs are able to provide several full access intersections along the corridor for existing and future development and enhance traffic operations during high volume periods of the day. The traffic operations analysis of an RCI under future year traffic conditions highlight the benefits of simplified navigation through the intersection. In year 2050 planning horizon volume conditions, it is expected that traffic wanting to turn left from the side street will be able to travel through an RCI U-turn and back to the central intersection quicker than waiting for a gap in two directions of traffic in a conventional intersection. The analysis shows a time savings as high as 40 seconds with an RCI to complete this movement. The predictive safety analysis also highlights the benefits of reduced angle crashes, where scenarios with RCIs were expected to reduce fatal and injury crashes by upwards of 33% over the next 25 years. The following slides present the study team's preliminary recommendations for each of the 4 areas within the study corridor. The preliminary recommendation for the Strato Rim Bustified Wilderness Canyon Road area is Scenario A. This scenario constructs 3 RCIs at the main intersection and incorporates access management through closures and right-in right-out access modifications. This scenario is recommended based on the safety benefits, intersection operations, achieving the desired balance of access and mobility, and the minimal impact to adjacent property north and south of the corridor. In conjunction with the Scenario A preliminary recommendation, the study team is also recommending option B for a U-turn location west of the Strato Rim trailhead. This location is just west of the rock cut where a sight distance and flat area along the corridor is conducive for a U-turn. This reflects the closest feasible location west of the trailhead parking access for a U-turn location. The HDR Black Hills area recommendation is Scenario C, which incorporates an RCI at the HDR Black Hills main access. The RCI's westbound to eastbound U-turn is shifted west to the top of the hill near the Rockerville Volunteer Fire Department access to enhance sight distance for U-turning traffic. A 3/4 access is provided at the House of Scandinavia, and a right-in right-out access is provided in Sitting Bull Road. The eastbound left turn lanes at the HDR Black Hills and House of Scandinavia access points are maximized to provide as much deceleration distance within the turn lane as feasible with the access spacing. The Bear Country USA area recommendation is the lone concept developed for this area, which includes an RCI at the Bear Country exit and a 3/4 access at the Bear Country entrance. And finally, Rushmore Candy Company area recommendations include a right-in right-out access at the north driveway and an RCI at the south driveway. The southern access point is shifted slightly to the south to provide Highway 16 access to all 3 parcels that come into a point in that area. Before closing the presentation, we would like to touch on a few common questions and comments the study team has received to date. We'd first like to note that the study team has done extensive research on best practices and lessons learned from other states and incorporated many of these elements into the presented concepts. Examples of these best practices include extending the median U-turn lane back to the main intersection, extending turn lane lengths within RCIs and at partial access locations to incorporate as much distance as feasible for vehicle deceleration, and accounting for significant roadway grade when applicable. For enhanced side street traffic sight distance, Highway 16 right turn lanes are offset from the through lanes to provide greater sight distance for traffic turning onto Highway 16. And also, access points have been separated from U-turn lanes by a minimum of 100 feet to help separate conflict points. A common concern resonating from the comments received to date centers on whether trucks and RVs will be able to make the U-turn and that their slow turns will lead to crashes. First, we want to stress that large vehicles have been accounted for using current design guidelines that incorporate operational considerations, wider turn paths at U-turns, and appropriate intersection sight distance for slower turn movements. A 2016 study completed by the Minnesota Department of Transportation and Iowa State University provides good insight on these concerns as well. Researchers monitored RCIs in conventional intersections to compare the exposure of large vehicles to oncoming traffic when completing turns, as well as the frequency of evasive maneuvers caused by these turns. The results of the study may be surprising. The exposure of large vehicles completing a turn within a conventional intersection is greater than those within RCIs, even for the U-turn movement. A second key part of this is that the exposure conflict within a conventional intersection is more likely to result in an angle crash, while the exposure conflict in RCI is more likely to result in a rear-end or sideswipe crash. When reviewing evasive maneuvers, it was found that the conventional intersections had a rate of evasive maneuvers that was twice that of the analyzed U-turn locations. The study concluded that there was no evidence that validated concerns of large vehicle operations at RCIs. Another question is, will RCIs work with future development? And the answer is yes. The recommended RCIs establish the full access intersections for future development along the corridor. From an operations standpoint, RCIs are better able to grow with traffic than a conventional intersection. The traffic operations analysis shows that at the higher volume RCIs in particular, the side street RCI operations continue to operate acceptably well after those same movements fail in a conventional intersection under the same traffic conditions. Further, an unsignalized RCI prolongs the need for signalizing intersections in this area. It is recommended that the South Dakota Department of Transportation, Pennington County, property owners, and developers all work together to enhance internal connectivity and help balance traffic across multiple full access intersections. Another common question is, why construct an RCI if traffic volumes are only high during a few months of the year? The study team certainly recognizes there are times of the year and times of the day where there are no issues turning in and out of an access point along Highway 16. However, in the last 10 years, approximately 38% of the angle crashes in the sub-area are still occurring during lower volume conditions between Labor Day and Memorial Day. Further, we expect widespread residential and mixed-use development along the corridor and throughout the area to contribute to year-round traffic growth. RCI safety benefits of reducing angle conflicts are there whether volumes are low or high. So the safety benefit of this intersection type is 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Further, as traffic volumes continue to grow throughout the area, the intersection accommodates that growth and continues to provide those same safety benefits. Several questions have been asked about just keeping the existing intersections and adding median acceleration lanes. The median U-turn concept shows some safety benefit, which is expected as vehicles turning left from the side street can enter their own lane on the far side, accelerate, and then merge into Highway 16 mainline lanes. Minnesota Department of Transportation research findings note that median acceleration lane safety benefits are generally most applicable at locations with high volumes of trucks entering and exiting a single point, similar to the coal quarry access. However, research has also shown that median acceleration lanes do not reduce serious injury crashes because near-side angle conflict points are still present and may actually increase the number of minor crashes. A big issue with median acceleration lanes is compliance, particularly in areas with unfamiliar drivers, and whether they are used correctly or even used at all. Traffic not using the acceleration lane reinstates the far side angle conflicts within the intersection. A follow-up question is often, what about adding a traffic signal? First, volumes are not close to meeting traffic signal warrants outlined by the Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices, or MUTCD. Second, a traffic signal will be expected to increase overall intersection delay for both the Highway 16 through movements and the side street movements. National research has found that installing a traffic signal at unwarranted locations and/or isolated rural locations can actually lead to an increase in crashes. Further, a traffic signal does not eliminate the higher severity angle crash conflicts. However, if or when the time comes to review the next step in intersection control, signals can be incorporated into an RCI, and the same benefits of eliminated angle conflict points are still applicable. And finally, to conclude the presentation, we'll touch on a couple opportunities to provide feedback and next steps. As a reminder, as part of the second public meeting open house, we are looking for your feedback on preliminary recommendations and updated concepts. There are several ways to provide your feedback. One is to leave your comment card here as part of this public meeting open house. Second is to reach out to any of the study contacts. And the third is to submit your comments directly through the study website. And this concludes our presentation. We would like to thank you for your interest and participation in the study. We'd appreciate comments by December 29th so we can work towards finalizing study concepts and recommendations prior to the South Dakota Department of Transportation moving into design later in 2024. Thank you.